All right, folks, we are coming back. Hopefully this time. Dodgy network connection, but I think we might be underway. Let me bring Rio back in, and we may have timed it just to catch the end of the qualifying session. So we see SS7 and Matthew M have quit from qualifying at this point. Not surprising if they've been watching our stream up until this point either. I don't blame them. So SHS fastest lap 108.541. MAC-T with a 108.767. M1 Righty's taken that second spot, 108.540. Rio, are you still with me?
I am still here.
Thank goodness for that. I wondered what on earth was going on this evening, but we're all here, so that's the main thing, and we may get to see the start of the race. We keep our fingers crossed that the game is not going to throw me out one more time. So SHS looks as though they've got pole from M1 Righty, then MAC-T in third, continuing with their strong form from recent races. Then SS7 and then Matthew M. Ares in sixth, and Jay or Lost or Jason or Never, whoever they want to be this week, is in seventh. M. Dorling in eighth, Spicy Nuts in ninth, and Sancho Killer in 10th. So Sancho, I think, joins us for the second time on GeForce Racing. So it's good to have them back with us this week, and they look to have qualified in the top 10, it would seem here. But SHS Rio proving that they've got all the pace one more time, and they're going to take some beating here in the Netherlands.
Yeah, SHS. I think he doesn't seem like it, but he's very quick, and yeah, I think he's gonna have a really good battle with M1 Righty. And I completely forgot who was in third there, but MAC-T. Yeah. So he's gonna have a good battle with M1 Righty and MAC-T, and possibly SS7 in the race, and I think it's gonna last for a while.
It certainly is. Now, this is a very tight circuit here in the Netherlands, but we'll get an awful lot of laps because it's a very short circuit, one of the shortest on the F1 calendar. So the lap times here, as you can see, very short. Just 108 was the fastest lap there for SHS Predestinato, 108.343. Then M1 Righty in second, their Alpine teammate, 108.540. Then MAC-T in third, then SS7. Matthew M, good qualifying from them for Red Bull. Ares, then Jay, M. Dorling, Spicy Nuts, Sancho Killer, Emeleki did really well considering I kicked them out of qualifying. So well done to Emeleki. I didn't think I went that well in the Aston Martin. So that is the lineup as we're going to go straight into the race in just a moment. Let's remind you very briefly of the driver standings as we ended round 7 with SHS leading the way from M1 Righty. Just 27 points now between those two. Thanks to M1 picking up the win in Silverstone, and we haven't seen M1 every week, so if they can continue that strong form, it will certainly be a battle between the Alpine drivers. Rio, between SHS and M1, would you pick a winning driver from here?
It's difficult to call. Difficult to call for me because SHS and M1 are both really quick drivers. So for now, I'm not really sure.
No, I can't call it either from here. There is a chat going on with the drivers because of the confusion I caused at the start with the Aston Martin that's given us a bit of an issue with potential AI Aston. But well, it looks as though we're going to go. So 5 lights are on. All right, folks, let's go racing from Zandvoort. SHS is going to lead us away. And I am indeed at the back of the grid as an AI Aston Martin. So my apologies to the drivers for creating quite a bit of confusion here. Was not my intention at all. So M1's leading us away. SHS in second. Then MAC-T in third. SS7 in fourth. And then Ares X28. A good start into fifth, followed by Matthew M, and then M. Dorling. And we're going to go around these twisty, tight corners here in Holland. Well, I should say the Netherlands. We often call it Holland here in the UK, but to be fair, it is the Netherlands. Holland just being a province of the Netherlands. And so the Alpine of M1 righty, Rio, has had a good start and seems to be pulling out a bit of a gap on SHS.
Yeah, and when I saw that, he got a good launch off the line, and he got a good entry into turn one because you can brake as late as you want, since it's banked. And I think he might take advantage of these bank corners and pull ahead of SHS.
Definitely trying to get away from their teammate here. 7/10 up, setting the early fast pace, of course, on that very early lap, but it's not got away from SHS. That gap closing up under the slipstream down the start-finish straight. We will bring up the tyres because that always gives us some useful information. There we go. So both of the Alpines starting on hards, McT and Ares moving up into fourth now, has got past SS7. So the two Ferraris going well, but on those softer, grippier medium tyres. SS7 starting on hards, as has Matthew M. And Rio, how long do you think our hard runners are going to want to take their tyres through this first phase of the race?
Probably, I don't know how much grip Zandvoort takes, so I would assume maybe through to like lap 15 or 16, maybe like, or to lap 20. I think it might be more towards lap 20, because yeah, I'm just gonna have to call it from there. I don't really know, but it might be around there.
Well, Pete's already told me, Rio, that SHS is outside the range of DRS. DRS not yet enabled, so maybe they'll have a chance to build that back up again. Indeed, SHS closing back up again on their teammate, and they will definitely want to stay very close to them. Overtaking here at Zandvoort is notoriously difficult. There's really only one or two main spots, the main one being down the end of the start-finish straight into Tarzan Corner. Really the only opportunity most of our drivers will find to get past. I've got Tim Forever in the Twitch chat. Welcome back, long-time supporter of SS7. And we're with SS7 right now on the back of Ares. And SS7 trying to take those hard tyres as far as they can. But they've got Matthew M in the Red Bull right behind them also. So SS7's not going to have an easy ride of this, but they'll need to try and stick with the Ferrari of Ares in front of them. So don't get too far out in front and can take advantage of that DRS. Rio, have you driven around this Zandvoort track very often yourself?
I have, same as Saudi Arabia. I've gone around it so many times. It's such a fun circuit to drive, especially those bank corners make it so much more fun, and it's really nice to drive on the track. But the only problem is barely any room for overtaking because of how narrow the corners are.
It's absolutely right, although SS7 found a way past Ares there, moving back up into fourth place. With the benefit of that DRS down the start-finish straight, we can see this chain of cars here from fourth pretty much all the way down. There's only about a second and a half all the way down to Emeleki there in ninth. So these cars pulling each other along on lap 4 of 36. So it is a long race, 36 laps for us to do this Zandvoort circuit, although these laps are very short, but ever so tough on the tyres because we've got turns left and right, regular intervals round this particular circuit. SS7 trying to pull away a little bit now from Ares, and we'll stay with them just to see how quickly Ares closes back up onto the back of the Mercedes and see if they've got a little bit more pace to burn. Certainly the Ferrari driver will want to take advantage of those medium tyres in this early stage of the race, but they've also got Matthew M behind them. We see SS7 moving over to the right to try and break the slipstream. Matthew M going down the inside of the Ferrari, very close between both drivers, but they come through that cleanly, and Ares slots back into fifth place. And Rio, where have you found the best places to overtake around Zandvoort? Are you still there, Rio?
Apologies, I was muted. The only place for overtaking for me is at the end of the straight, and also into the very last corner before you go into the banked section. That's, I think, is a good spot because some drivers like to go wide there, and then it opens the door for you.
Yeah, it certainly does. And we've got both. There is this second DRS zone, which the drivers have just come through now. I'm wondering if I could actually get in and take my car out of the race. That Aston Martin, you can see, I'm currently running in 15th place, Rio. I think I've done quite well, considering I haven't actually been behind the wheel of the car at all in this race. So, folks, we are watching Ares and SS7 battling it out. I do want to get my Aston Martin out of the way of El Alex. So bear with me a moment, folks, as if I retire from the game, I should be, or it's not going to let me do it. Bear with me a minute. I'm going to need to jump in that car and retire it, I think. So it's not even going to let me take control. So the game does not like me at all today. That is me, folks, driving around in 15th place. I'm going to get an awful lot of abuse from the other drivers at the end of this race, so I apologise for that. Let's head back up to the front here, and to M1 Righty, who is 7.5 tenths out in front of their teammate SHS Predestinato. MacT has gone with SHS here. So we've got a front three which have broken out a gap of nearly 4.5 seconds from SS7 in the Mercedes, and then SS7 has created a DRS train of Matthew M, Dorling, Sancho Killer, Emelecki, Ares, Jay. I'm surprised to see Jay so far down there. Matthew M has now got past SS7, so the leads swapping all over the place here. Something has happened to Ares. They've dropped right back down to 9th, so some kind of collision perhaps, or mistake for Ares has dropped them right down the field. M Dorling though is with SS7, so we've now got the group of fastest runners on hards that are not M1 and SHS. They're filling the spots from 7th down to 8th, and Ares really splitting the last few then to J and Obo. Day 500 is on softs, and I'm on softs, as you can see, but please discount my Aston Martin because I am not, as you can tell, driving that vehicle at all. So in this early stage of the race, Rio, who would you class as the winners and losers?
M1 Righty, I think, might have a shot at winning for me if SHS doesn't, torture him with putting him under pressure and stuff. But I think El Alex and Desivek, I think they had I can't remember. I don't recall if they had issues. But I think the race will be well over for them.
It looks that way. As we've just seen M Dorling get past SS7, so M Dorling continuing their strong form here, moving past their third place on track finisher from last week, SS7. And SS7 finished second in the feature race in Austria as well. So they've come back into a bit of form for SS7 after a reasonably inconsistent start to the season by their standards. But M Dorling and Matthew M getting the better of the Mercedes driver at this point in the race. But we do have an awful long way to go. We're only just over a quarter of the way. Just under a quarter of the way through the race. So we've still got a very long distance to go here. Matthew M is continuing their showing of strong pace from previous races. Matthew M actually was doing well in Silverstone, but had a coming together with NRG Panzerotto, which pushed them right towards the back of the field. M Dorling getting down the inside here of the Red Bull of Matthew M. Looks as though they might make it stick. There's a bit of wheel-to-wheel banging as they go through the exit of Tarzan, but M Dorling's got ahead of the Red Bull, and Rio, M Dorling continuing to improve week on week up to 4th.
Yeah, I'm starting to notice him Dorling more. He's getting very, very quick, very, very fast, very, very quickly. I think his practice is paying off quite well.
Certainly seems to be, and perhaps that's also a sign that Matthew M's medium tyres are starting to drop off a little bit on lap 8. So this track does wear tyres pretty quickly, and I don't see these hards lasting too much longer at this kind of pace. But M Dorling taking advantage of that, moving ahead of Matthew M. And if we drop down to SS7, who's now got Sancho Killer behind them, and then the Aston Martin of Emeleki. So SS7 under pressure from the AlphaTauri of Sancho Killer. Needs to be careful they don't drop out of the DRS of Matthew M. And Matthew M up front, if we return to them, is looking to make a move back through on M. Dorling. So Rio, these places at the front are going to change hands time and time again, I think.
Yeah, and Matthew all the way through to whoever's at the last of that train. I think that they're gonna have a really good battle. I can already see it from here, because SS7 is gaining up on the back of Endorling, and I think it's gonna go all the way through to the banked corners and then to the straight and then all the way to the end. We're just gonna have to see who comes out on top.
Well, I do hope your predictions are right in terms of that close racing. I'm hoping we're going to keep this going. For Jay, unfortunately, it is the end of their race. They have left us, so maybe they've retired in the pits, it would seem. So that, unfortunately, is the end of Jay's race after some very strong performances in recent weeks. So at the moment, M1 Righty leads the way, just under a second from their teammate SHS. Then comes MacT in third, and then that big gap now, 5.5 seconds back to this new lead group being led by Matthew M in the Red Bull. We've got Emeleki getting past the AlphaTauri of Sancho Killer, so Emeleki starting to make ground, and they'll be on to the back of SS7 as quickly as they can. But because of the DRS and the very equal pace of these cars keeping this group pretty close together, it's looking as though any of these drivers could finish somewhere between 4th and 8th. Then there's a gap back to Ares X28. So Ares maybe had a bit of an issue earlier. They were pretty much with their teammate MacT in the early laps. They've dropped right back now to 9th, and indeed are coming under pressure from Obo. So we'll go back to the other Alfa Romeo driver with M. Dorling 44 earlier. Their teammate Obo is a very good teammate for M. Dorling, consistently scores points, perhaps towards the slower end of the top 10, but they're usually there or thereabouts. And I think, Rio, a bit like M. Dorling, we've seen both our Alfa Romeo drivers improving week on week, and Obo's definitely one of those.
Yeah, Obo is same with M. Dorling, is getting better every week, and I'm noticing it a lot more often. Because they get in the front row very often, and it's very easy for them to. And yeah, it's really easy to see that they're improving a lot, which is good.
Now there's a cracking battle going on for second here, Rio. I'm back up with MacT, who's now passed SHS. So those medium tyres for MacT, whilst they might have gone on for Ares and perhaps Matthew M, they might be coming back into their own here. Matthew M mixing it with the big boys here at the front. Sorry, MacT, yes.
MacT, he's gonna. I have a feeling he might just steal that lead from M1 Righty, because he's on mediums, even though they're the same sort of, how do I say, lap, like used in laps, I guess. I think it might be more than likely that he steals the win from M1 Righty, or he could pit and then do the undercut.
Well, it's definitely options open for MacT here. I don't think softs are going to last an awful long while around this track, but there's every possibility that if MacT is managing to look after these mediums so well and can get them through close to half distance, maybe follow as Rio was suggesting, pitting slightly earlier, getting the overcut on much grippier new tyres, even though they'll be hards, could start to pull out a bit of a gap. But MacT is definitely able to use the DRS and the slipstream of the Alpine of M1 Righty in front of them, and has split the Alpines here, moving into second place. So great drive for MacT. I'm going to stay with them as we get round to the start of the next lap, just to see if they try and take the lead of this race. But they feel as they've got some pace here as they come around the back of the circuit into the first of the DRS zones. Reasonably short. They dive down into this really odd complex of corners, then they're back on the power, and then we're going to go to this large banked curve at the end of the lap, and we've lost Alex at the end of I think Pete was telling me in turn 1. So that's 2 DNFs. I hope that wasn't an Aston Martin getting in the way. I will not hear the last of it. So we've got Mac T right on the back of M1 Righty. SHS gone with them. Now nearly 7 seconds back to M Dorling, who leads SS7. But SS7 has dropped Emeleki. So that means that Emeleki is out of the DRS of the Mercedes in front of them. Then we go down to Emeleki, who's got Sancho Killer behind them. So our cars starting to spread out. And Rio, it looks as though the field is starting to settle down, perhaps with these individual duels going on at various stages. And we're probably looking towards the next pit stops. Where do you think those first pit stops are going to come?
I think they're going to come more than the drivers are going to put more than sooner, like really soon, because all that battling has probably made them completely forget about their tires. So I think they're going to realize how much their tires have gone off, and I think they're all going to start to pit. Maybe at the more of the midfield, I think they're going to pit quite soon.
And certainly that undercut strategy is going to see. I think we'll see that play out for quite a few of our drivers, particularly those that have now lost the benefit of DRS. Emeleki being one of those. They can't quite get on the back of SS7, but SS7 is definitely on the back of M Dorling here. These two drivers pulling each other along. Pete's telling me about a battle for 8th here between Arias and Obo. So Obo's moved up into 9th and is now looking to try and find their way past Arias, whose medium tyres will have seen certainly better days at this point. We're on lap 15 of 36, approaching the halfway marker. And and there's an AlphaTauri here of was that Sancho Killer? Yeah, Sancho Killer losing it there. I think that's into turn 8. So Sancho Killer having a massive moment, clearing out a number of the marker boards there. They have disappeared off into the scenery, but they are back on track. I don't think they picked up any major damage. They've rejoined in 10th, but are struggling over the curbs there. And now they've got Matthew M coming down the inside of them. I think Sancho trying to defend, not making that work. So that's allowed Matthew M through. Just going to bring up the pit stops just to see if anyone has been in, because I think 1 or 2 have. Yeah, so Matthew M has been in for Red Bull. Spicy Nuts has been in once. That's one of the reasons they're down there in 12th. Day 500 also 1 stop as well. So the battle going on here between Sancho and Matthew M's. SS7 is into the pits. We'll put the tyres back on so we can see. So a soft choice for Rio for SS7. Do you think they're going for 2 stops?
SS7, I think he's going to be looking to be the one who pits and then overtakes everybody else that sort of have their tires dropping off. And I think it's already been said and done. He's going to overtake loads of people, and he's just going to go until his tires drop and then pit again onto the mediums or hards.
And there's another battle between the other Mercedes of Desavec, and Desavec joined us for the first time, I think, last week. They're back with us this week. They were also in the Ironman on Sunday as well, so really investing their time in the G-Force Racing Elite League. They're up to 9th. Were battling there with Matthew M, but Matthew M were much newer. Hard tyres, very difficult for the Mercedes driver to defend. And Sancho is now under pressure from SS7 on those soft tyres, which will be lightning at this moment in time. SS7 setting, I think, purple sector in sector 3 on those brand new soft tyres, easily getting past the AlphaTauri, moving up there into 10th. And now I don't think they'll get held up by their teammate at all, so Desavec will probably get out of the way pretty quickly. Indeed, they do give SS7 very wide line, so team orders clearly at play, or just good team play there from Desavec, allowing SS7 to get past, and they'll be after Matthew M. I'm going to ask Pete to keep an eye on SS7's lap times for us. The fastest lap of the race so far is a 1:11.201 by M1 Righty, who leads this race at the moment. But Rio, Mac T is still there in second on the those medium tyres really not being dropped by the Alpine at all.
Yeah, I think his pace might be the same, but his tires might be dropping off because they're a lot younger. No, sorry, like the compound is slightly makes the tires go off a lot more. So I think he could be pitting anytime soon. But I don't think the tires are helping with his pace right now.
And SS7, Pete was telling me, it was just 0.16 off the fastest lap. So they're gradually switching those soft tyres on, but haven't quite yet got the pace that M1 Righty set in the early stages of this race. But clearly they're going quickly, and they now are on the back of Matthew M here. So Matthew M also has pitted, but onto hard tyres. So Matthew M looking to take those to the very end of the race if they can. SS7 making that early call to go on to softs, and they'll probably be back onto mediums to finish this race. And the undercut here and that pit stop time can be negated pretty quickly with just those much grippier tyres. We'll stay with SS7 as they're on the gearbox of the Red Bull as we come around the final corner of the lap here, this huge banked curb that takes us on to the start-finish straight. We'll be crossing the DRS line here, so we'll jump on board with Matthew M. We should see the Mercedes go down our inside, and indeed SS7 moves up into into 8th spot. We have a yellow flag in sector 2, but that has now cleared. So that was day 500. Apparently that's now cleared. They're back on track. So Matthew M drops back behind SS7, but could possibly hold on to the slipstream of the Mercedes in front and look to get a tow all the way back up to Obo. But SS7's got some way to go. They're 3.8 seconds back from Obo. But Obo has yet to pit, so SS7 will gain some extra places when these drivers go into the pits. And very high-pitched whine from the Red Bull as we were on board with them there. I'm going to head back towards the front of the field. SHS has got onto the back again of MacT. MacT pushes SHS towards the wall there, holds the outside line of Tarzan. And Rio, have you seen that before? There's at least 2 lines through that Tarzan corner. You've got a quicker one on the outside, but obviously further to go. And then that tighter line allows cars to overtake on the inside or the outside.
Yeah, Tarzan I think has more than 2 over, to be completely honest. It's you've got the inside and you've got the outside, yeah, I think the staying to the wall I think works for me. It gives you the fastest, and also it's like just grabs you and throws you around to the next corner. That's what it's like, hugging the wall on Tarzan.
Yeah, and it didn't really help SHS on this occasion. MacT managed to keep it pointing in the right direction on the outside of the corner, but we'll see a number of drivers attempt various different overtaking manoeuvres into that, and that's why it makes it one of the most exciting corners, certainly on this track. Obo and Ares are still going at it here in 6th and 7th now. All of these drivers ahead of SS7 have still yet to pit. SHS has just got past MacT, so they've managed to move up into 2nd place. Matthew M, Peter's telling me, is still going quick, and they are able to stick with SS7 there. SS7 has got the gap down to Obo to 1.5 seconds. So SS7 going well on these 5-lap old hard 5-lap old soft tyres. Oh, now do we have some rain? Do we have some rain?
It's raining, and day 500 has pitted onto intermediates.
Then that's maybe, Rio, what SS7 was aware of. They thought, I'll go for a quick dash on soft tyres, but this is going to mix things up. So 3 cars already onto Inters. So Decivec, Spicy, and Day 500. So they have all pitted now very early onto those intermediate tyres. And round here with these tight corners, you want as much grip as you can possibly get. Now the soft tyres for SS7 might help them out for a lap or 2 if they can hold some heat in them. But the hard runners will be skidding all over the place if this dry line gets wetter and wetter. There was contact there between Obo and Matthew M, But Obo has held on to that. DRS now disabled, so DRS is not going to help drivers pass. M. Dorling's picked up a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and also 5 seconds now for speeding in the pit lane. So all of these cars bunching up ever so quickly. M. Dorling trying not to go into the back of Ares. SHS has remained out. Now, Rio, I guess SHS had no choice. If M1 Righty's gone in, they'd be stacking in the pit lane. So SHS here has to brave it out on hard tyres on now this very wet track, as we see SHS going all sorts of sideways here as they go through turns 8 and 9, Rio. This is going to be a very slow lap for SHS to get back to the pits.
Yeah, I can already see M1 actually closing up on him. I think Team Orders, they're told to stay out because they don't want to double stack for the time being.
That's really going to hurt.
He's gonna get, he's going to be in last, unfortunately.
That is just luck of the draw. I guess in hindsight, they may have just taken the stacking penalty. The SHS has lost so much time here. We do have a yellow flag briefly. Looks like Sancho Killer. Pete was saying that yellow flag may actually be for me. I should probably get a black flag at this point, but I am at the back of the grid, and somehow I've switched on to intermediates, so the AI is keeping me on track at the moment. Rio, interesting choice from Sancho Killer. They've gone on to softs. I think that must be a mistake.
That might have been a mistake. You just flicking. You forgot to set the tires, and then you're just flicking through, and then you accidentally didn't get a time to set intermediate, but before the game didn't let you set anymore. So I think he might come around again, and yes, that is a big mistake, I think.
Pete was telling me Sancho's going sideways, and they're on track, but I think they've left it numerous times. They are tiptoeing. You can see how much time cars lose with no grip from those slick tyres, and Sancho wouldn't have had any opportunity to get any temperature into them either, because they've just come straight out of the pits onto a wet track, and Sancho is crawling around towards the end of the lap. If they've got any traction left at all, I admire them for their bravery trying to get round here, but they hit the wall numerous times here. They've got to get themselves into the pits. This is so difficult for them. I could easily see a safety car here. Sancho facing the wrong way, and they're just making it into the pit lane. Now, that's... well, Rio, I admire Sancho's attempt, but they just couldn't keep it pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, you've got a feel for Sancho. I mean, having that mistake is probably one of the worst things a driver could. It's like the nightmare of a driver when it's raining and you accidentally switch on to softs. He's gone on to softs again, I think. No, never mind. I just didn't update.
Yeah, fortunately for them, they've gone on to intermediates, but I don't think we could have bear to watch that again, and I don't think they will be too pleased that we showed all of it on the stream. But we admire them for trying to get back to the pits, and that's an unfortunate mistake. Emelecki is on the back of M. Dorling, and M. Dorling has picked up a couple of penalties here, as has Mac T. So I'm actually going to bring up the penalties just to see what they are. So 8 seconds for M. Dorling. 3 seconds. So we do have a safety car, Rio. So and that's Sancho DNFing. So that's going to bunch all of these cars right back up again. Does anyone make a pit stop here, Rio, or do they think, because this track looks really wet? I mean, is full wet tyres an option, or do they stick with inters?
Some of them might go. We've already got 2 drivers already pitting, MacT and SHS. I think they're going on to wet. It does look extremely damp out there. And I think they might be going on to wets. Oh, no, never mind. They've gone on to fresh intermediates. I think they wanted their battle to last a lot more longer.
Well, we just saw Emelecki there locking up into the back of M. Dorling. As they came into the pit lane there. Obviously the car stopped very, very quickly off of that very fast straight, although they'd been going slower under the safety car. Penalties obviously gone now for M. Dorling. They would have absorbed all of those in their pit stop, so they don't have to worry about those anymore. Wets for Ares, so they're going to try that out. We should keep an eye on Ares's lap times. The rain really is heavy, and we'll be looking out for the standing water. That's usually a sign that full wets are worth going on to. At the moment, track is certainly pretty damp, but not fully wet. But there definitely isn't any kind of dry line. Let's see, whilst they form up under the safety car, Rio, we'll take a look at winners and losers. Oh, there was a big penalty. Oh, it was a drive-through for Obo. So that's possibly speeding under the safety car or some kind of collision somewhere. But a drive-through for Obo, which they will have to serve separately from changing tyres. So let's look at winners and losers. Well, right now, Rio, Emeleki's the winner. They're up 7 places into 4th. So that's worked out well for them. And M. Dorling in 3rd. So Emeleki definitely looking pretty strong at this point.
Emeleki doing a very good job, but they're considering how abruptly his qualifying ended. Yeah, good job to him. He might even get a podium. He might get a podium considering how bunched up the pack's going to be when the safety car pulls away.
And Emeleki's just inherited another place as Mac T has gone into the pits as well. So that's a late decision from Mac T. So full wets for Mac T. So some of our drivers clearly recognising how wet it is. SS7 is going in as well. SS7 onto full wet. So, yeah, some of our drivers realising that perhaps Inters are not going to give them the pace. We'll watch those drivers with interest. SHS has inherited the lead of this race now. They have moved up into 1st place. M1 right in 2nd. Emeleki there, now in 3rd. All of these cars on very new intermediate tyres, having only just changed them before the safety car came in. It's a while since we've had a safety car, actually. So we're on lap 26 of 36. So it's actually, Rio, you could be right, podium, given that we've only got 10 laps of this race left to go. Those 26 laps have absolutely flown by. But if Emeleki can hold on to this position, they've got a podium.
Yeah, and I'm also going to ask Pete to please keep an eye on the wet drivers. I want to see if they are good or not. Concerning, well, yeah, I think most of the drivers might actually go into the wets if they see how many of the drivers have gone to wets now, because it looks extremely wet out there, and intermediates might not be enough.
Well, we're still under the safety car on lap 26. We're hoping that safety car will be going in pretty soon. Looks like we're going to have at least one more lap. Another one into the pit. So M1 righty is also going in. I think it's going to be wets for them. So SS7 Rio has gone back in also. Both of them had already changed on. So SS7, I'm being told by Pete, had a damaged nose. So I think they must have run into the back of someone in the safety car. And that in these wet conditions, it's ever so easy to do that with these cars running so close. Be honest with me, Rio. Have you ever done the same? I know I have.
I have done that way too often. Just not paying attention to anything, and then all of a sudden I find myself in the back of someone else's car, and then just if I'm in career mode, I'll just do a flashback. I can't be asked to go back into the pits.
Very honest of you, Rio. Very, very honest. So, I think that's definitely what's happened to SS7. And at this point in the race, with all the cars bunched up so tightly together, that inevitably is going to push them right to the back of the grid, or back of the running order at least. We're very much hoping the safety car is going to come in. Safety car in this lap. Yeah, safety car is in this lap, so that's good news. We'll be able to go under green flag racing one more time to finish off the final 9 laps of round 8 of the GeForce Racing Elite League. slightly confused start, and so my apologies for that, and to our drivers for sticking an Aston Martin on the track that shouldn't be there. But SHS is going to lead us away. Emma Leckie now in second place is going to go with them. M. Dorling now in third. They do have a 3-second time penalty. They served 5 of them in the pit stop. So when is SHS going to go? They're going now by the looks of things. So Rio looks like a good restart by SHS. They've pulled away from Emma Leckie pretty quick.
It would seem that he's just completely caught Emma Leckie off guard and he's just gone. Because he's gone there, and if it was me, I just go on the strip because I don't like going on corners, especially when it's wet. I mean, props to him for going when it's wet and on a bank corner, because that is very, very slippery sometimes.
It really is. I've got an eye here on Ares X28, the first of our wet runners. They're in fourth at the moment. They've got their teammate Mac T behind them. We'll see how good these wet tyres may be. The water will clear from this track pretty quickly with this long train of cars heading around this track at speed. So a dry line might start to appear, but those wet runners have got to take advantage of these wet conditions as quickly as they can. It doesn't look as though Ares really can do that. They really seem to be struggling with some grip, actually, Ares X28. Mac T is right behind them. We'll see if the Ferrari teammate gets out of the way of Mac T, who was obviously having a strong run. Mac T has found a way past their teammate. It might open the door for Matthew M to try and follow through. But no, Ares closes the door on Matthew M, so no way past for the Red Bull. That should allow Mac T to pull away. There is no DRS at this point. And Matthew M trying to find a way past the Ferrari of Ares into Tarzan. Will be braking here. And looks like Matthew M's holding that inside line. And Mac T's got all sorts of problems. And looks as though Matthew M's got past both of them. So maybe... Oh, it's very close as the two cars come together. As we come round turn 3... Matthew M, and I think Matthew M may have caught the back end as the yellow car, a yellow flag there, I should say, as the car of Mac T headed off into the wall. I don't know if there was contact there with Matthew M. Mac T is still going, but I looked as though they picked up some damage there. So Matthew M on these intermediate tyres definitely has some pace. And maybe, Rio, the intermediates were still the right tyre to be on.
Yeah, it was sort of like a hard decision to call for me once I seen like what happened when people went on the mediums, the wets just now. It would seem that you're doing fine on the intermediates down there. But yeah, I think it does still look really wet, but I think it might just be enough for intermediates.
Well, the intermediate runners are the runners leading this race on lap 30 of 36. Emma Leckie is still with SHS. M. Dorling is still with Emma Leckie. But then we have a big gap back to Matthew M. Pete is telling me the wet runners are 2 seconds slower, Rio. So those wet tyres definitely not the ones to be on. Be a brave driver, I suppose, that decides to pit now on lap 30. They really have very little time to make any of that time back up again. So, well, on that basis, Rio, we could have a very different front 3 on the podium here. SHS, Emma Leckie, and maybe M. Dorling's going to get their first podium of GFR.
Yeah, I think the front is very, very mixed up, and I can already see that Matthew M is sort of pulling away from Ares there in fourth. And the wets, it doesn't look that, it looks really wet, but it's probably not wet enough for wet tyres. So
yeah, the lap times seem to be proving that as well, with our front runners definitely faster than the others. M1 Righty has just got past Ares X28. We really saw Ares struggling with grip, and also tyre temperatures are going to be important for our drivers. Depending on what they've got those set at, these wets overheat very, very quickly. We know what M1 Righty knows what they are doing in a car, and they've looked as though they've got those wet tyres set pretty much okay for their liking. But they're now trying to get away from the Ferrari of Ares 28. Spicy has benefited from some of this chaos also. So they're up into 7th, ahead of the 2 Mercedes drivers. So after what seemed like a reasonably average qualifying and a pretty tough start to the race, they are up into 7th. So our top 10 positions are going to be paying points here, but you get nothing for 11th or down. So I'm not getting any points at this point, which is absolutely right. I shouldn't get anything at all. Desavec ahead of their teammate SS7. So Desavec in 8th, SS7 in 9th. MacT having dropped all the way down after that spin and potential collision with Matthew M means they are right down there in 10th, the last points position. And then a big gap of 9, or now 34 seconds back to Obo. Obo has taken the gamble to go on to intermediates. And I got Pete in the chat here as well. Good point about that 3-second penalty for M. Dorling may allow Matthew M through, but they've got 4.7 seconds to make up to M. Dorling with just 4 laps to do that in. That's MacT coming on the back of my Aston Martin as they go past there in 10th spot, being lapped that car. So Emelecki has dropped back from SHS. They cannot keep up with the pace of the Alpine in front of them. M. Dorling is staying with Emelecki. M. Dorling, of course, having that penalty, but they'll be very conscious of Matthew M behind. But that gap is now opening up a little bit to Matthew M, just out to nearly 5 seconds. M1 righty trying to close down the gap to Matthew M, but probably running out of laps to do so. I'm going to get to Spicy actually, because they are right with Ares X28. Ares is really struggling with that grip. And we haven't really seen much of Spicy today, Rio. Oh, Spicy loses the back end very slightly there, but we haven't seen much of Spicy, Rio, today. But they seem to be picking up these wet tyres and putting the Ferrari under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, Spicy's a good one when it's coming coming towards putting someone under pressure. He knows how to put them under pressure and then make them fall back and then overtake them. I've noticed he's done that a lot, and it's paid off well for him. And in qualifying, he went full steam into the pit lane. He didn't brake, which was very funny to see.
And Spicy went Spicy was committed to that corner a few moments ago, and then Ares also, and Ares heading off into the gravel, and Ares hits the wall on the way into the pits. Peter's telling me so, and then we get a safety car. We're on lap 33. Rio, we could see this race finish under the safety car, I think.
I think it's already said and done, because we could get one more lap, like Abu Dhabi 2021. I really hope it does. That will be really entertaining to watch. But I think it might finish under the safety car.
Well, this has been a very controversial race for so many reasons, so I suppose it's only in keeping with what we've seen today. But what it's going to do is join all of our drivers back up together again. So on lap 33, our drivers will get behind the safety car. There'll be no gaps between them at all. And maybe and I see Obo being disqualified for multiple penalties. I'm sure they'll let us know. And I think Obo is on your podcast later, Rio. Is that right?
That is right, along with Alex1.
So, folks, if you are not aware, Rio is going to be doing a G-Force Racing podcast for us over the coming weeks. The first one of those is today. It happens pretty much straight after. It's recorded straight after the race here today. Guests from Obo and El Alex, and I think both of those drivers will probably have a lot to say about today's race. So Rio, you'll need to have your questions ready for them, but perhaps the mute button ready for the mic.
I'm noting down stuff to talk about from this race, and there's a lot of stuff already. So, which means it's been a very, very, very entertaining and a big race.
So Ares X28 has DNF'd. I'm in 10th place. I don't know what's going on today. I might actually get points without doing anything. So SHS is in the lead. M. Dorling is now in in second. But Rio, if it does get, or even if it doesn't get underway, this is dreadful news for M. Dorling, because they do have that 3-second time penalty. So they're going to drop all the way back behind all of those drivers. Safety car is in this lap, so they've really not bunched the field up much at all. I've got Obo in the Twitch chat. Thanks for saying hi, Obo. Wasn't paying attention, trying to look at info for Dorling. Yeah, can't take your eyes off the wheel here in the Netherlands, particularly when it's wet. But you can tell Rio all about it in the GFR podcast, and we'll let you know, folks, when that is available to listen to. I'm certainly looking forward to listening to that. That's going to be a cracking opening. All right, we're going to have at least 2 laps of racing here, very close between the Aston Martin and the Red Bull. SHS is going to decide when to go, and they've got to time this just right. Fresh wets for Emelecki, so Emelecki's made the gamble of brand new wet tyres. We're going to go into Tarzan with M. Dorling hoping to get away. Emelecki's gone straight through on the Red Bull of Matthew M. Emelecki back into the podium spots. Rio, let's watch Emelecki.
Emelecki, yes, I'd love to see this.
Those intermediates are looking old on the Alpine and the Alfa Romeo. So Emelecki looking to take advantage of those. Let's ride on board with Emelecki on these final corners of lap 35 as we come round to the back of the circuit here. Emelecki trying to find a way past our stream, jittering slightly with all this action going on. Emelecki's found a way through, looking to find a way through the inside of M. Dorling. He's made that one work. So Emelecki now onto the back of SHS with 1.5 laps to go of round 8 of the G-Force Racing Elite League. M1 right is getting past. M. Dorling was trying to find a way past. M. Dorling has held on to that, desperate hold on. And M. Dorling, so M. Dorling's held on to that spot. M. Dorling staying in third, but we've got to go back to the front as we're going to start the final lap of the race. Emelecki trying to get their first victory, their possible first victory, not just of season 2, but I think it will be their first ever victory for G-Force Racing. Trying to find the long way round Tarzan. Can they hold on to the grip on the way out? There's contact between the two cars. SHS has held on to it. Emelecki trying to find a way past the Alpine on some very old intermediate tyres. As we go back up the hill, Emelecki has so much more grip, but really struggling to hold on to the front of the car. They'll have the tow from SHS. They have pulled out a gap on M. Dorling. And Emelecki's low grip setup is possibly going to pay dividends. We've got one more straight to go before around the back of this circuit here. No DRS at this point. Emelecki, Rio, is literally stuck on the gearbox of SHS. Can they find a way past?
I think they can. He's putting him under so much pressure, and it looks like he's doing it now.
Emelecki has done it. They're up into the lead of this race. SHS will have one last fight back into the chicane here. Emelecki has so much more grip than the Alpine, and we could have a new winner for season 2. This is going to mix things up for us. Emelecki was improving in the Drivers' Championship from previous weeks, but they have never been on the top step of the podium. But Emelecki is going to come over to win round 8 of the G-Force Racing Elite League from here in the Netherlands. Congratulations, Emelecki. There was a round of applause in the background from the commentary box here. Brilliant for them. SHS has finished in second. M1 Righty has come home in third. The two Alpines in second and third on the finishing order. Matthew M comes home in fourth, their highest finishing position for G-Force Racing. Congratulations to Matthew M. M. Dorling finishes eventually in fifth, really paying the penalty from receiving that penalty. Spicy Nets up there in sixth. Rio, well, it's been a crazy day. Technical problems, my car out on track. I may have actually picked up a point, causing all sorts of confusions for the driver. I wouldn't be surprised if the game had given me driver of the day, actually, given after what we've seen here today. I didn't get that, and rightly so. So, Rio, who's your driver of the day from that race?
Probably. I'm just gonna have to go with Emelecki at this point. He did a really good job to get up to first. And I can't remember what it was for, but he got like 7 places, I think. And that helped out a lot, and he had a very 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 good battle with the SHS at the last couple of corners and laps there. So I think he well and truly deserves my driver of the day.
Very good shout. Pete, who would your driver of the day be? Emma Leckie for Pete, and it's going to be Emma Leckie for me as well. Clean sweep in the commentary box. How can we not give it to Emma Leckie after that incredible drive, starting 11th, taking advantage of all of the chaos that went on, but keeping a level head and coming over to finish first for Aston Martin's first victory of the season as well. So Emma Leckie in first, SHS in second, M1 Righty finishes in third, Matthew M in fourth, M Dorling in fifth for Alfa Romeo, Spicy Nuts, good drive from them in the end, finishing in sixth, Desavec and SS7 finishing seventh and eighth for Mercedes, Ferrari in ninth with Mac T, Day 500 in 10th, and me in 11th, but ignore that, it doesn't count. Really well done to all of our drivers, and particularly to Emma Leckie getting that victory here in the Netherlands. Well, what that's going to do to the driver standings and the constructor standings, well, before we close here today, let me bring up the constructor standings for you folks. This is where we stood at the end of Silverstone. Alpine were leading the way with 253. They will probably extend that lead quite significantly, finishing second and third. Mercedes finishing down there in seventh and eighth, so not a good day for Mercedes. McLaren also not having a great day with Jay leaving us, but Spicy doing well and certainly picking up some points, and they will probably certainly stick around third, but we got to see what those Aston Martin points for Emma Leckie do. 25 points for Emma Leckie is going to shift them possibly up into third. Not a great day for Ferrari in the end. Not a bad day for Alfa Romeo with M Dorling, but obviously Obo having a bit of a tough race. We'll hear a bit more about that when we get to hear the podcast from Rio later on. Rio, any other highlights from today's race?
Mostly just the battles. I think those battles were so entertaining. Through the wet parts and the dry parts. It was very, very, very fun to watch.
And that's our first, I think, GFR race in the rain for some time. Pete was just mentioning, actually, we're back in the rain again, and we haven't had any for quite some time. So maybe that's a sign of things to come in the second half of Season 2. And let's take a look where we're going to be next week, folks. Hopefully with no technical issues, all of those problems behind us. We are going to be in Monza. SHS is home. SHS Predestinato's home in Monza. Everyone is going to want to beat SHS, and SHS is desperately going to want to win that one in Monza. We know that they love that track. Money's got to be very strong on for SHS at Monza. Very short odds for them, I suspect, next week. But it's a track a number of our drivers love. It really is a driver's circuit, high speed, the fastest of the F1 circuits on the calendar. So we've got that dreadful turn 1 and turn 2, the chicane at the end of the start finish straight to contend with. If our drivers get through there, it's going to be a cracking race. So come and join us next week, 8 p.m. UK time for round 9 of the G-Force Racing Elite League. Until then, I'm going to say thank you to Rio. Good to have you back this week. Have you enjoyed it, as always?
I have enjoyed it, especially this race. It's been so fun. So fun.
And my thanks to Pete for keeping us informed and also keeping me sane as we're trying to sort those technical issues out earlier. To our drivers for giving us another brilliant race once again with G-Force Racing, and to all of you for watching. Thanks for spending time with us here on a Wednesday. We'll make the start a little bit smoother next week. But until then, stay safe and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.